Everyone, and welcome to the SEO Lounge. Each month, we host community training events with one of our world-renowned SEO instructors, and we dive into strategies that are used to grow organic traffic and conversions and unpack the recipes for SEO success.
Thanks, Lauren. Today, the title of our training is 5 Copy Mistakes That Are Killing Your SEO Conversions. And we're very lucky to have with us Kevin Meng, SEO copywriting legend, to give us his insights into improving our SEO copy for more sales.
And if you don't already know us, I'm Lauren and this is Andy. We're both part of the IMG courses team. Andy's in Berlin and I'm in New York City. We're really excited to have you here today.
Yeah, how are you, Lauren?
Good. How are you doing?
Fantastic.
Great.
So a quick intro into what we do at IMG Courses. So we're the largest SEO courses membership platform. If you want to join us, you'll get access to 34 traffic and income generating courses from the world's top SEOs. We're adding a new training course each and every month, and we're covering various learning tracks, including link building, technical SEO, on-page SEO, agency and team management and operations, including like sales. There's a bit of like black hat training and of course, web content and copywriting, which we're covering today. So for $97 a month, you get access to all of this plus a bunch of bonuses like our library of over 180 SEO tests, which we update every couple of weeks. And if you want to check it out, you can go to our website at internetmarketing.gold, and all the information that you could need is right there.
All right, so that brings us to prizes. If you are registered for the event today and you're also here with us live, you're in a drawing to get a free month's membership to IMG Courses. That's a $97 a month membership, and we are going to give you one of the most coveted shirts in the industry. It's the IMG t-shirt. You cannot buy these shirts. You can only win them or earn them by being a world-renowned SEO or someone in the members community. If you don't win, it's okay. We have an IMG membership discount just for you for attending live today. You can use this code on the bottom here called Kevin Copywriting and save $99 or $9.99 a month.
Thanks, Lauren. I'd just like to welcome all of the IMG community members that are here with us today, and anyone who's come with us through LinkedIn or Facebook or is on our YouTube live today. Welcome. Quick rundown of the event. So we're expecting to run for around about 60 minutes, and we're going to spend about half that time in the training workshop with Kevin. And the other half, we're going to be doing some Q&A and also a live case study on one of our attendees' websites. So attendees, you should have a chat box wherever you are, whether you're on our website, whether you're on LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live, or Facebook Live. So if you send us in your questions, we will try our best to get to them, depending on time, of course. Please don't be offended if we do not get to your question today. We'll be giving everyone Kevin's personal email so you can ask him directly afterwards. Just kidding.
That's a joke.
So yeah, submit your questions. Also, I'd love to hear from attendees of Kevin's course inside of IMG. That is SEO Web Copy 101. If you've done the course, if you're currently doing the course, love to get your questions and feedback for Kevin as well.
Great. So let's introduce Kevin. Kevin is a master craftsman when it comes to SEO copywriting. He's been writing web copy for 6 years, and he's been recommended by names you probably know, like Matt Diggity's agency, Lead Spring, Mad Singer, Jonathan Kikebush, and SEO Butler at SEO Butler. And Kevin's mission is to make the SEO industry realize just how important good copy is. So to get SEOs to change and get their mind into a content and copywriting mindset so that they can succeed and not lose conversions after they've earned so much traffic. So Kevin has been featured in Empire Flippers, Authority Hacker, Craig Campbell with SEO Butler, many, many more. Kevin, welcome. Was there anything I missed there in that intro?
I think you covered it. That was a great intro. Thanks.
Great. And so we know that you've just made it back to the US after being stranded on a paradise island. Why don't we
It was
break
tough.
the ice? Yeah, tell us a little bit about what you were doing and how it relates to your lifestyle and career.
Yeah, well, I was in Vietnam. There's a really good community there with e-commerce and SEO people. And when COVID hit, they locked the borders and really no way in or out. So I was stuck in Vietnam for about 2 years. And when they opened up the borders, the world was kind of in a rough spot. So I figured it was best just to stay put, not to travel anywhere or go home and get into lockdown somewhere. So yeah, almost 2 full years in Vietnam.
But Kevin, you're actually kind of a perpetual traveler, am I right? Is that something that you've
Yep.
just fallen
Yeah.
into, or is that a very kind of deliberate thing that you sort of designed your lifestyle and business around?
Yeah, it was definitely deliberate. I do enjoy traveling a lot, but I mostly slow travel, so 2 to 3 months at a time in each place. And it's normally the same places. I kind of make like a circle every year, trying to avoid the winter, so I'm just Thailand, Vietnam, Czech Republic, and home here in Connecticut. And every once in a while, I throw in 1 or 2 extra places.
I very much relate to this, Kevin.
Yeah, it's an addictive lifestyle. For me, after a month in one place, or 6 to 8 weeks, it's just I want to pack up and get on to the next spot. It's just I'm a bit of a junkie when it comes to that.
Right. So let's jump into it. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do on a day-to-day basis to help the clients that you work with?
Yeah. Right now, most of my time is, I would say I do 2 things mainly now is I write a lot of content and web copy for SEOs, and I also spend a lot of time creating new content or creating more modules for my next course that's coming out soon, or doing consultations, helping clients, or answering student questions. I get a lot of private messages from students asking to evaluate their websites and evaluate their web copy, train their writers. If they're SEOs, they might have a team of in-house writers, and a lot of my time is spent training them. For example, outlining their articles, editing, making training videos for them, so they can improve. So I do quite a lot aside from obviously writing still, but I would say writing now is only about 30 to 40% of my day, and the rest of it is training or working on my new courses.
Wow. And so what was your path to becoming an SEO copywriter?
Yeah, good question. I was an English teacher for a long time when I lived in Europe, and it just wasn't for me. And I'd always been a good writer. I made a lot of money writing in school for kids, like to do essays and stuff like that. I would always, they'd always pay me to do the essays for them. And in college, I was a writing tutor. So I always wanted to make money writing. I just never knew how. And I just Googled it one day, how to make money writing. And I saw an article about how to make money writing SEO articles for SEO agencies. And I just started blasting out cold emails with samples of my writing, and eventually got a job at an agency. And I ended up quitting the agency after like 2 months. It was just too hectic, and I went out on my own. But ever since then, I've been writing, solely in the SEO industry.
Right. That's really interesting. Tell me a little bit about the course inside of IMG, Web Copy 101. Can you just
Yeah, sure.
maybe give us a little bit of a rundown on what's inside that course?
Yeah, definitely. So I would like to preface what's in the course by explaining how I made the course. And So I've been writing a lot for SEOs who are close friends of mine, and I have a real access to, behind the scenes data, what really works. The course is not about any real theory of good writing. It's not about, what makes a beautiful article, or, what's beautiful to read, or what great writing is. It's all practical. Like, this works in the SEO industry because I've seen it. I've rewritten articles and I've seen the conversions go up, and that's where I came up with this, this system of writing. And it's really all about how to write a targeted intro, how to write very powerful web copy that gets the reader to purchase, and how to write copy that keeps them engaged and keeps them on the page. Most copy is very boring and informative and drab and explanatory, whereas the type of copy that I teach is engaging and almost interactive. It almost mimics a conversation. It's really compelling. It's funny. It's visual. And that's the kind of stuff that gets the reader to stay on page, which obviously increases the chances of them clicking and, buying what you're selling.
Yeah. So can you get specific and tell us a little bit about a couple wins that you've seen for your clients?
Yeah. Well, I remember the specific one that really inspired me to write or to start making this course. This was the moment where I realized, like, wait, I might actually have enough knowledge on this and experience with this now to make a full course. And this was maybe 2.5 years ago, when I rewrote an article that was basically like a man cave article, for accessories for somebody's den, and the article was a dud. It was ranking high, but it was not converting. And so we added a story to it. We made it really funny. I started looking at the different products, and I had a lot of experience writing sales pages for products. And I started approaching the articles more like sales pages than informative articles, because they really are. If somebody Googles best, for example, laptop, they're ready to buy. You don't really need to educate them that much. You need to sell them. And it's the same principle when somebody sees a sales page for a particular product. It's not there to educate, it's there to sell. And when you have affiliate reviews, especially, you need to think of them more like sales pages and use the same principles: benefits, power, visualization, future pacing, engagement, things like that. They're all directly applicable in affiliate reviews. So that was the approach I took, and the graph was out of control, especially with the story. The story was really compelling and it was funny, and the clicks went up, the sales went up, the conversions, all that, time on page. Actually, inside the course, in the intro module, I'm pretty sure there is the graph is in there, so you'll be able to see it. It goes from basically flat to out of control. So that was and we were at a party actually in Ho Chi Minh City with the guy, and he was explaining it to me, and I was like, wow, I really think I should make a course about this. I didn't realize it could work that well. I was really surprised.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me how you feel about clickbait, in using clickbait in the content that you're writing. Like, I know it's normally something you're using in more like emails, but you also can use it in meta titles and stuff like that. You're using it, and when is a good time and not a good time?
Well, I think a good time to use it is probably like in the SEO title, or the title that appears in the SERP. I like to use what I call the mystery technique. That I go over this in the course, actually. For example, you might want to have something that sounds a little bit clickbaity. Maybe it's a little bit of an exaggeration. So I recently did a review for Jungle Scout, where we broke down the features and benefits for the reader, and the title was Jungle Scout review, 7 figures in 1 year, or something like that, which is a little bit clickbaity. Nobody's going to get to 7 figures in 1 year, but that's we definitely saw more clicks and even better rankings in the SERP. So I think that's a good time to use it, but I wouldn't go too far with the clickbait. I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah. And so do you have any core copywriting principles that you stand by?
Wow. Yes. A lot. I think number one is just sounding unique and engaging and authoritative. That is so important. The vast majority of content that I read sounds exactly the same, whether they're selling, and actually we're going to cover some of this in the presentation, whether they're selling lawnmowers or yoga mats or male enhancement supplements or exercise packages or whatever, they all write in the same tone, and it's very drab and it's very, overly informative. There's really no value for the reader in facts. They can get those facts anywhere. They can read the label. They can go to the product page. They can go to any review or anything like that and get these basic facts. The real value is in your unique perspective, your advice, the benefits of it, your experience with it. So anything unique that you can give the reader, that's where the real value in your article is. But I would say about 90 to 95% of the articles that I read for my clients, they all sound the same. They're all just focused on the facts of something. They all use a lot of cliches. That is something that really I try to teach everybody that I work with, is you need to have unique value and sound unique like a real human being.
So needless to say, you're not promoting Jarvis AI, Kevin.
No, I am not, but I definitely see the value in it. I really see the value in it, especially for, people who might be in the early stages of their website and they just need a lot of content, or people who don't have the budget yet for a good writer. I can see the value in an AI content tool as long as you spend a lot of time editing the content to make it sound, unique. But no, I can't. As a writer, I cannot promote it. I just can't. I can't do it.
Wow. Hopefully, it doesn't put good writers out of work as well.
I hope not.
You shouldn't be concerned about that.
No, I think I'll be all right.
We're at a little over quarter past the hour. I think perhaps we should just move on to the workshop now, if you're ready for that, Kevin.
I am ready, yeah.
We've got a presentation prepared, and we're going to share your screen. There we go.
Sweet.
Perfect.
Okay. So
we are going to do an audio-only format of this sometime in the future. So if there's just 100% visual content, it'd be great to just quickly just describe what it is. It's not in too detail, but
okay. So you would like me to describe what's on the slide, if possible?
If there's something like a graph that needs to be described or something like that.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Can do. I think we won't have much issue with that here, because I'll be reading a lot of the screenshots. But okay, I can do that.
Terrific. All right, Kevin.
Sweet.
5 mistakes that are killing your SEO copy. Take it away.
All right, let's get into it. I gotta get to this tab first, though. Okay. All right. So does that look correct? Because to me it looks a little bit strange, but I think it looks okay. All right. So
looking good from here.
All right. Nice. Let's jump right into it. Okay. 5 mistakes that are killing your SEO copy. And I would just like to add that these 5 mistakes are the mistakes I see on almost every article that I work on. So if you can fix these mistakes, you will have really awesome web copy. So let's jump right in. So number 1, and this is my number 1 pet peeve, bad intros. The intro is so important, yet most articles do it the complete wrong way. So the goal of your intro is your intro must hook the reader and convey your value proposition immediately in order to convince the reader to invest time into reading your article. So more simply, the intro is the first thing that your reader sees, right? So it must hook them. It must give them a reason to invest time in your article. It must tell them why your article is a good article to read for that search term, or else they're going to bounce to someone else's article. The problem is that most intros just talk about the topic. Instead, you should focus on the reader. So what I mean is most intros, they sound almost like intros to an academic paper where you have a topic and then the intro is kind of like the background to that topic. I will show you a lot of examples. When in reality, when you're writing web copy, you need to write a compelling intro for the reader behind the search term, what they're after, what their goals are, what their level of knowledge is, etc. So let me show you a couple examples. So here we have InkFile versus LegalZoom. Which is right for your business? These are two tools to form an LLC. Okay, here is intro. Most small business owners prefer to skip the legalese and focus on running their business. However, some legal issues, such as launching your business entity or entering into a contract with a potential supplier, are unavoidable. So, right off the bat, I think you can see the issue, right? Somebody has Googled InkFile versus LegalZoom because they want to know the difference between the two tools. And instead of hooking them and conveying value, all this intro does is state a fact that the reader is well aware of. Okay, so there are a lot of issues with this kind of intro.
It's completely ignoring the searcher intent.
It's completely ignoring the intent. Yeah, you're exactly right. It's ignoring the person behind the search term, right? So the person behind the search term clearly has a level of knowledge well beyond this intro, yet it's talking about the background, right? It's talking about forming an LLC. So right off the bat, most readers are going to bounce, right? This is a huge issue. It's wasting the reader's time, telling them things that they already know, and it's boring them to death, right? It's just very factual, very drab, very academic in tone, right? So I think it's pretty easy to see why this is a major concern, right?
Yes, but I think also you would think that looking at this, it's obvious, but the majority of content similar to this, comparisons and reviews, is written in this format. Am I right?
Yes, you are 100% right. 100% right with that. And I think that's because there's this, well, first of all, with writers, most writers learn how to write in school, right? So when we're writing in school, we're writing essays, we write academic intros, right? If it's something about, whatever, some historical topic or some science topic, your intro introduces the topic. It introduces the topic in an academic way, right? And that's where we learn how to write. And then we bring this into web copy and we repeat that. But in web copy, you're trying to hook the reader and sell products, not educate them, right? So, and most SEOs are SEOs, right? They're not writers. So they don't really have the copywriting skills to evaluate the quality of the intro. So they see their intro, they look around the web, everybody else's intro looks the same. So they think, okay, this checks out, let me post it. So yeah, that's why I think, that's where I think that issue comes from.
And so then from a user's point of view, the expectation is quite low. So if you can rewrite this so it stands out, then you already have got a big advantage.
Yeah, I think you're ahead of the game. If you can actually write intros that hook people, and yeah, I think a lot of readers around the web, they're tired of just Googling a search term and getting like a bad intro, right? They really want to see something that hooks them. And if you can do that, yeah, you'll be way ahead of the game for sure. This is really important too. It gives the reader no reason to invest time in the article. You really need to give the reader a very compelling reason to invest time in your article. They have a ton of options, right? So if you don't tell them why your article is such a good resource and what they're going to get out of it, they're probably not going to read on. They're probably just going to bounce and find somebody who does. So here's what happens when I rewrite the intro. Trying to decide between InkFile and LegalZoom. Luckily for you, I used both tools to form an LLC, took notes, and compared features so you get an inside look at which is better before buying. After I cover pricing, features, value, and convenience, I'll walk you through how to easily come to a decision on which is better for forming your business. Don't worry, it's super easy. You'll have the right answer in less than 10 minutes. I think this clearly demonstrates my point, right? So can you feel the difference when I rewrite it? It gets right to the point. It doesn't tell the reader what they already know, and it tells the reader why they should read the article, right? It gives them a compelling reason to invest time. And it also tells them, hey, this is only going to take 10 minutes. Don't worry. It's easy to invest less than 10 minutes of your time, right? So I think this really demonstrates my point.
Absolutely. We learned something in sales training about creating something called an upfront contract, which is sort of in the beginning before you go through all of the communication you have, you set that upfront expectation as to how much time it's going to take from them, what they can expect from it, the critical piece of information. It's sort of like what you're doing.
Yeah, that's key. Like making it easy for them to take little steps, right? Like it's easy to instead of just you go through all the sales information and you sign a big contract, it's easy just to have like this little small step first, right? That way they feel a little bit more invested in the process, right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so let's take a look at this graph. So this graph shows that according to the Nielsen-Norman group, most readers bounce within the first few seconds, but pages that immediately convey their value proposition can hold readers' attention much longer. So the graph clearly demonstrates that the longer somebody is on the page, the less likely they are to bounce. So, basically the longer they're on the page, the more likely they are to finish or take an action. So that's why the intro is so important. If you don't give them a reason to invest time, they won't, plain and simple. Let's take a look at 7 best Shopify invoice apps to look more professional. An invoice app is a tool that allows you to create a document to ask for payment for a product or service you sold. Okay. I think somebody who's looking for the best invoice app for Shopify already knows this, right? So right off the bat, we have, again, failed the reader behind this search term. And they are probably going to bounce. And at the very least, they're going to lose trust that you really know what you're talking about. So it's very important to immediately establish yourself as an authority and convey value, not explain the topic. Let me show you the rewrites. Hey Shopifyer, welcome to my best Shopify invoice apps review. I've used over a dozen different invoice apps for my 6-figure store, and these are my 7 favorites. Feel free to pay $25 a month for an app that doesn't work, but if I were you, I'd go with one that's proven to make you look more professional, work seamlessly, and cost next to nothing. Number 1 is my favorite, but 3 and 4 are best for small businesses. So again, same thing. Meeting the customer exactly where they are, demonstrating our value and our authority, and giving them a reason to invest, right? These cost next to nothing. They work seamlessly. Number 1 is my favorite. 3 and 4 are best for small businesses. They know what they're going to get out of the article. This is much more engaging, and it's going to be better for sales and bounce rate and all the other engagement metrics.
I like that you're probably going to be giving quantitative data and recommendations, but it's also qualitative in the fact that you're adding your own personal preference.
Yes, exactly.
It's based on your own authority and experience, right?
Right. I think that's also key, right? If you say you're an authority on the subject, then you should have personal experience with it, right? So when you say that I've used these apps for my 6-figure store, it creates that sense of trust, and the reader is going to trust what you say or trust what you recommend and be more likely to buy whatever it is that you're selling. Here is another example of a really good intro that gets right to the point for the reader behind the search. How to obtain a Russian visa in an easy and cost-effective way. Applying for a visa to travel to Russia from the United States or Canada, whether for work, business, study, or tourism, is not as complicated a process as it may seem. In this article, I'll explain how to gather all of the documents you'll need to apply in a way that is quick and cost-effective. So boom, the person who Googles this wants to know how to get a visa. This intro tells them, don't worry, it's really easy. I'm going to show you exactly what you need. and it's cheap and it'll take an hour or less. And I think this immediately hooks the reader. I think you can almost just feel it, when you read it. This is exactly what the reader is looking for. I know because I was looking for a Russian visa because I wanted to travel there before COVID happened. And this article spoke directly to me. And I was like, wow, this is a great intro. I have to screenshot this and teach people this principle. Okay,
Awesome.
Let's move along. So here's how to improve your intros. Instead of writing about your topic in that academic background style, think about the reader. Who are they? What do they want? What would make them read the article? These are really important. And what do they get out of your article? What will they get for investing their time in your article? If you focus on these things in your intros, instead of just writing about the background of the topic, you will definitely see an improvement, a reduce in bounce rate, more time on page, and if you're writing affiliate reviews, definitely more clicks, conversions, and all of that. Let's move on to mistake number 2. SEO tone. We kind of touched on this before. Everybody's articles sounding the same. Your tone must match the topic you're writing about. If not, you will lose credibility with your readers. What I mean is, if you're writing about SEO, you should sound like real SEOs talk. If you're writing about yoga, hiking, or medicine, you should sound like real people from that niche or from that industry, like a real yoga practitioner, outdoor enthusiast, or medical professional. And again, a lot of people who are making these websites, they're SEOs, right? And they live within the SEO community and they work within this community. So all they see is the same writing tone, and they apply this writing tone to all of their websites. And that is a huge mistake. You really should be sounding like somebody who's actually working in that niche, in that industry, rather than in the SEO industry.
I got a question for you, Kevin.
Sure.
Do you ever create avatars for writing this kind of content, like real life? Not real life, but personalities behind the content?
I do, for the most part. Yes, I do. But for me, it's to the point where it's natural enough. Like the way that I write, it comes to me naturally now, where all I do is research and take notes. Actually, I don't really even work with that many new clients anymore. I focus mostly on my courses and training and things like that. But when I was writing for different niches in the beginning, I would research around. I would make swipe files. I would take notes. I would watch videos, and I would get a feel for who the average customer was and who the average, authority in the industry was. I would search all different forums and different industry websites, and I would kind of gather the tone that people would speak in naturally, and I would keep like a note file on it until it became, like clockwork for me. So in a way, yes, I did have an avatar, so to speak, but I never created like an official avatar, in a like a normal corporation would. But yes, I do believe that is very important. If you have your own websites, and you are going to hire writers, definitely have a tone guide, definitely have an avatar, definitely have an established reading level and writer guidelines. Those are very important. And the next course that I'm coming out with is going to have tons of that stuff. It's going to have writer guidelines, writing tone, how to establish swipe files, how to become an authoritative writer in your niche, things like that. That's a super important problem in the SEO industry that I'm trying to solve. So yeah, long-winded answer, yes, avatars.
Awesome. Yeah, I happen to know at least one affiliate in various niches that have nothing to do with his real life persona,
Mm-hmm.
where he is a mummy blogger, various other avatars that he does really well in convincing the world that this is really who he is.
Yeah, that's tough to do. So kudos to him. I mean, that's pretty incredible. But I think if you think of it like scaffolding, right? Like the kind of when you're doing a construction project, if you set up the scaffolding it becomes a lot easier to, to build very high quality buildings, right? So if you have the same scaffolding for your articles, if you have a tone guide, if you have swipe files for the writer, if you have templates, if you have, whatever writer guidelines that you have, it's a lot easier for the writer to go in and write a convincing article in any niche. It doesn't matter if it's keto or hiking or digital marketing or mommy blogging or what. If you have that infrastructure in there, it's a lot easier to make a convincing article than it is to write one from scratch every time, right?
Yeah. We should press on. We've got about 10 minutes left for the workshop.
Okay, yeah, let's keep it moving.
Time check.
All right, so the mistake here is that, like we said before, there is this standard tone that's very academic in nature, this SEO tone. They use big words, professional language, fluffy adjectives, and they do this to mask the fact that they aren't real experts on the topic. This does not help. It hurts. It does the opposite. So here's an example. This is something about lawnmowers. You can read it for yourself. If you're watching, just read the first sentence. The Troy-built TB200 is an efficient gas-powered grass cutter with an agreeable price tag. Who's buying these lawnmowers? Probably some, middle-aged or older homeowner, probably an older man, maybe, I don't know exactly how old, maybe it could be 30s, 40s, 50s or older. This is not how they speak, right? You need to speak like they speak. If you say things like it has a tri-action system that uses a symmetrical deck, etc., this is not really what's going to convince them to read. It doesn't sound like you're an expert. Here's something about gaming laptops. Some of the best gaming laptops out there, and this is no exception. It's fitted with the latest AMD Ryzen. They're incredibly powerful, etc. This is not how gamers speak. You need to write like a real gamer. This is a yoga mat one. It delivers a stable, slip-resistant base, sporting an ever-so-chic matte finish. It features a moisture-wicking antimicrobial surface. This is not how the average yogi or yoga instructor speaks, right? This is how an SEO speaks, if you ask me. So again, very important to have that persona that you're writing for. Here is some content that I wrote about mattresses that the owner really loved and said sounded really natural. You can read it for yourself. So my advice when you're doing this is to sound like a real human being, okay? Do your research, find out how real people in the industry talk, and try to emulate that. And always use the I or we, depending on your guidelines for your website. I love to use I. Some people use we and us. That's up to the site owner. Don't write like an academic paper. Do not write like you write in school or university. Write like you would on the web, more casual. Talk directly to the reader. Notice my opening line. Can I ask you a question? Or notice down below the Helix Lux. Have you ever woken up in the morning surprised at how well you slept? I'm speaking directly to the reader. And listen to real experts in your niche and emulate their tone. You can go on YouTube. You can go find videos elsewhere. Listen to how they really speak. That'll be a lifesaver when you're trying to write in this tone. Here's another great example of content written by a real mechanic about fixing cars. Just take a look at it. You can clearly tell this is not somebody who's just an SEO writer. They really know what they're talking about. So the reason he sounds like a real expert, aside from being, is there's slang here, right? They're not trying too hard. They're using real slang. They're using authoritative language. They're writing on the reader's level. They're not just writing basic academic content. They're thinking about their reader and they're writing directly to them. And yeah, I reiterate, they're not trying too hard. They're just letting it flow. They're not using big words or big adjectives. It's just casual content.
Do you pay any attention to the the rule of thumb that you should write for someone at the age of about like 8 or 9 years old in terms of the complexity of the language?
Yes. I think overall, yeah, you're much better off keeping it more basic than yeah, you're better off keeping it at a basic level. However, you also need to use power. You need to use vivid imagery. You need to use examples. And you need to use slang. It's a delicate balance. I wouldn't overcomplicate my writing, but I would definitely try to include powerful verbs. I would try to include, powerful emotions, and I would try to include slang from that industry. Not too much jargon, but a little bit will help. But yeah, overall, keep it as simple as possible. I teach this a lot. Simple writing is powerful writing. So avoid cliches. Cliches are a huge pet peeve of mine. I can't stand them. Avoid bland adjectives like agreeable that don't help the reader at all. If you say the price tag is agreeable, that's not helping. It's just fluffing up the word count. Say the price tag is better than competitors. Say the price tag is much lower than you expected. Say the price tag is way higher than you expected. Give the reader something palpable, not just a bland adjective. Avoid vacuous statements like its legendary design makes an appearance. This has no value. It's just fluff. And writing that doesn't sound like speech. You should always write like you are talking in a conversation, or 99% of the time, write like you are speaking in a real conversation. Sometimes I see content like, owing to its ideal gaming CPU, the experience is of a most pleasing nature. Nobody talks like that. Nobody talks like that. You would just say like, the experience is great and the CPU is ideal, or the CPU is super powerful and that makes it a great experience. So that's how we would normally talk. So yeah, avoid this super unnatural sounding content. Okay, number 3, features, not benefits. Readers want to know only one thing: what's in it for them. 3, features. Oop, are we on delay here? Okay, so the mistake is that when people are writing reviews, they are mostly talking about the features of the pool table. As you can see here, they say it's made from quality materials, that it's using Slatron, that it's got a solid showcase, it's 8 foot long. Again, these are just the features. Nobody wants to buy based on the features. This is a mistake because it only talks about what the pool table comes with, uses only bland language, and it gives you no reason to buy this table versus any other. Remember, you have to sell this product, not educate on this product. Again, same mistake here. If you notice, this writer just talks about what the Cameo 4 comes with and what it is. No details, no benefits, no sales copy, nothing. Same thing here. I'm not going to read it all for you, but if you can just look at the first paragraph, it says it has a top-tier warranty. It's got a 3.0 HP motor. Again, feature after feature after feature. Only about the treadmill, doesn't address the reader, and like I said, feature after feature after feature. So what you have to do to solve this, you have to write, how do the features benefit the reader? What do they get out of it? What do they get out of that motor? What do they get out of that 8 foot long pool table? What do they get out of the Slatron material? It has to be about the reader. How will it improve their lives? What makes that feature so great, especially compared to competitors? That's what the reader wants to hear. And which problem will this help you avoid? Again, benefits, benefits, benefits. That's what the reader wants to know. The easiest way to make your content better. Also, how will it get closer to your goal? So the easiest way to make your content better is to answer this question. So what? So what is the number one web copy question to answer? Every time you have a feature, answer this question. So what? It has a 3.0 HP motor. Okay, so what? What does that do? How does it help me? With this here, okay, it's a huge improvement on the Cameo 3. So what? What does that mean for me, right? It's got a great community. So what? What do I get out of it? It's got the Silhouette Studios design software. Okay, so what? What does that come with? How does it help me? Okay. The way you write about benefits, not features, is by answering the question, so what? Let's cover a few more examples. It has the best quality materials. So what? Why does that make it a good pool table? Will it be more durable? Will it not break if people are, will it last me for 20 years? Okay, dual tool carriage. So what? Why is that good or bad for me? How can it help me cut more? How does it help me make more money with my business? And the treadmill reduces impact up to 40%. Okay, so what? How does that help my knees? How does it help my ankles? Will I be able to work out better, etc.? You have to answer the so what question, or else your web copy will not convert. Plain and simple. Any observations or questions there?
Not so far.
One thing I wanted to know is, what if it's not super clear to you which of the benefits are resonating with your audience? Are there ways to maybe like look at social media or survey on the post buy? How would you kind of really connect with what are the most important benefits for your customers?
Wow, yeah, good question. Yeah, it always comes down to research. You can look on social media. You can look on Reddit to see what people's biggest concerns are. You can check YouTube to see what people are talking about the most. I think a lot of YouTube creators will focus on the most common problems. You can check the YouTube comments, see what questions they have. And again, in copywriting, there are certain emotions and benefits that everybody cares about, fears or, personal vanity, popularity, these kinds of things that everybody cares about. So when you have no like real palpable evidence that one benefit is better than the other, you can always default back to one of these core copywriting emotions, which I teach in my course. Quick little promo there.
Awesome. Good. It's well worth it.
Yep. All right. Let's move along. Okay, just a couple types of benefits: avoiding pains, solving key problems, how it helps reach a goal. For example, with a treadmill, how will this get you in shape faster, or how will it get you in shape better than competitors? Doing something better than other products. Again, this is something I default to all the time if I don't have anything else in mind. It's like, okay, how can I make this seem just better than other options if I'm not 100% sure what the customer wants? And how it'll make them feel, how will the treadmill make you feel? How will you feel after workout? How will you feel when people notice that you're getting in better shape? That kind of stuff. And basically anything that makes their lives easier. That's what people want. They want things to be easy. They want things to be quick, fast, effortless, whatever, simple, etc. Okay, number 4, boring content. This has a lot to do with the tone, but it's also something a little bit different, so bear with me. The longer you keep a reader on page, the greater chance you have at a conversion. Also, metrics like dwell time, time on site, clicks, comments, etc. They're all great for SEO and sales. It makes sense, right? If they bounce off the page, they can't buy from you. If they stay, there's a better chance of them buying from you. So, most users bounce immediately from web pages, partly because of the intro, partly because that's just how people behave. And the ones that do remain usually get around halfway before leaving. This is an excellent article. You won't finish this article. It's a bit outdated, but it still rings true today. I highly recommend Googling it and reading it. But yeah, basically most people leave about halfway down a web page. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe they found what they're looking for and they click and buy. That would be great. So most writers don't realize that a key part of their job is holding the reader's attention. You're not just there to sell them something or educate them. You're there to entertain them. You're there to keep their attention focused on your website, not somebody else's. The problem is that most content reads like sitting in traffic. It's super boring, right? Super drab, full of cliches, not really lively at all. Case in point with our treadmill content here, fact after fact after fact, and walls of text. Like, this is a chore to read this. It's a poor experience, right? This is something that's going to cause readers to bounce. Same thing here, just feature after feature, lots of facts, walls of text, nothing too exciting happening here. It's a chore. Compare that to something like this that has a lot of rich writing, okay? This is something that my client loved. A ton of people were reading it. The bounce rate was low. They got a lot of engagement on this post for a few key reasons. Pattern interruption here. Notice my paragraphs are different sizes. Sometimes they're just single words. Sometimes they're bolded. I'm throwing in things like new terms, fun facts, things like that. I added some storytelling. I'm telling the story about the 16th Amendment, which is probably one of the most boring things that you could ever write about. You have to find a way to spice it up a little bit. Again, throw in the fun fact about Prohibition and Al Capone. And I'm asking questions here. Okay, notice I say, okay, the only people more excited than the Treasury were members of the temperance movement. Why? Question. And then I answer the question. This type of game keeps people engaged more. It almost mimics a real conversation. This is much more engaging to read than what we saw before. A couple hacks that I use. I love self-deprecation in my writing. I think it's hysterical. Clients love it. Readers love it. I always get a lot of compliments on this. If you look down here at the end, I'm like, okay, my girlfriend is probably going to leave me. Maybe I'll move to New York and start a new life. This kind of like putting yourself down sometimes. It humanizes you, and it gets people laughing. I wouldn't. I would definitely not shy away from doing this. Like, this is this really works, and it's I think it's funny. Story, the best Amazon FBA courses. So if you're reading this, then you were just like I was, and then I start telling the story about how I got into this business. And storytelling illuminates the reader's mind. It gets people hooked. Even nowadays, when you have tons of distractions, people still sit and watch 90-minute or 2-hour movies because they're telling stories, right? So always tell stories when you're trying to sell products. Or, okay, 95% of the time, telling a story will help sell products. That's what I should say. Maybe not all the time. But we usually have an intro story for most of our product reviews now. Memes, these really help. I think that the overall concept here is to have as much visual content as possible. Throw in a lot of images, memes, infographics if you can. Readers really love these. They break up the walls of text. They keep people engaged. It's overall, it's a positive thing to do for your content, and it's super fast, really low effort.
Kevin, we're sitting at around about 7 minutes out from the end of the workshop.
Okay. End of the workshop or end of the presentation?
Well, we'll probably go over a little bit. I'm just wondering, given the time, maybe what we do is we just kind of finish things off.
Okay.
In terms of we've got a winner to announce and a couple of administrative things, and then those who want to stay on to go through your attendee site review, then they can, and those who have to run off to the next meeting or whatever can do that as well.
Okay, so you would like to stop here?
What stage are we at in the workshop?
There's only one more left, so.
Oh, great. Okay, let's finish that. Then we'll finish off the session, and then we'll come back to going through the
Gotcha.
One-to-one example from our volunteers.
Sure. Yeah, sorry about that. Ran a little bit over. I tend to get a little long-winded, so Again, so just being aware that boring content is bad. Encourage your writers to be funny, creative, bold, use images, use memes, make jokes, etc. So that stuff really, really works. Okay. And number 5, how ironic, long-winded writing. This is a huge mistake, right? Web copy needs to be short, punchy, and powerful. If not, you're going to lose your readers. You don't want to make it difficult for them to read your writing. Let's take a look at some examples. Most writers use long, fluffy sentences. It's bad for SEO and conversions. So here's an example. You can read it for yourself. In times of ever-changing algorithms, again, very long sentences, very big words, not a lot of meat here. It's difficult to read, it doesn't make an impact, and it's super boring. Definitely a very big mistake. For example, with a ton of extra words that don't help the reader, nothing but fluff up the word count here. Compare that to this. Very short, very punchy, very simple, right? And very easy to read. The solution here is to write simply. Instead of writing long-winded, write simply. Simple grammar, short sentences, active voice, always active and powerful, not passive. Same here. Notice single sentence paragraphs really help. Short sentence. It's easy to digest because it's mostly nouns and verbs. Short sentences, simple grammar, and limited punctuation. So this is the key to keeping readers on page, making it easy for them to read. Even here, it's a little bit more content, but you can see that short sentences, the subject is usually leads, very punchy, very noun and verb heavy, not too many long sentences full of adjectives and prepositions and adverbs and things like that. This is very punchy, powerful writing. So yeah, that's it. Bad intros, academic tone, benefits instead of features. Don't write boring content, and try to keep your content short, simple, and punchy.
Amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Kevin, I've taken your course, and so have a number of other people on the team, and I can tell you that the content we're producing has become much higher performing, and we're getting much better results from learning the techniques that you've been teaching here today.
Nice, thanks. That's good to hear. I'm really happy about that, man.
Terrific. So what we're going to do is we're going to just cover a few little admin things, and then we have a live copywriting review. We're going to do that after the full time that we're supposed to go to. We had about 50 volunteers send us their website for Kevin to review. Now, we're not going to have time, obviously, for all of those. He's chosen one that we're going to go through. Before we say goodbye to anyone who has to leave on the hour, Kevin, tell us how people can get in contact with you. Do you have a website, or do you prefer people to get in contact with you via email or socials if they have any questions or they want to know more about your courses?
Yes. If you would like to get in contact with me, you can find me on Facebook at Kevin Meng, M-E-N-G. You see it there. I have the IMG banner in my profile. You can also email me at kevinmengseo@gmail.com. Those are the two.
Oh, he does give the email out.
No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. That one is specifically for inquiries about the course and copywriting. So it's okay. I don't mind if it gets bombarded. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. So we have our winner now. Joseph, you are a winner. Joseph from HumJam. And let's see, what's Joseph's last name? Joseph Khan.
Joseph Khan.
There we go.
Booyah.
Great.
Congratulations, Joseph.
So you get a free IMG membership and a shirt.
Hey, I'm still waiting on my shirt, by the way.
Via email in the next couple of days. There, you'll hear from Vera. Next, so we're going to be putting on these live trainings every month, around this time every month. It's the same format, and if you want to be notified when the next one is coming up, you just need to go to internetmarketing.gold/the SEO Lounge. That's the name of the show. If you can't remember that, there's a link to that in the footer of our website. And you'll also, if you put your email address in there, be notified when we have the replay for today available. Other than that, Kevin, we're going to continue, but I'll say thanks anyway for the presentation you put on. Thank you for all
thanks for having me.
Attendees that we had. Next month, we have, pardon me, a sneak preview. Robbie Richards, another IMG courses instructor. He has a course called the Content Audit Playbook. He's an amazing SEO coach. He's recommended by a lot of top people in the industry. And so we'll be having him on to do a workshop, and anyone who has to leave now, look forward to seeing you then. Okay, now, Kevin, we have 50 volunteers that have sent through their websites, hoping that you'll give them a live copywriting review. You've picked one to go through, all right?
Yeah, before the presentation, I went through and I picked out the one that I think I can offer the most help with. So this one is I guess we could call it a supplements website. It's called Endless Remedies. So it's about weight loss supplements, sexual health, building, bodybuilding, and women's health. So I would just like to go through a few of the issues.
Do you want to give the name of the person who you selected? Do you have that?
Good. I think it was his last name was Slater. I remember that, but I actually just I had so many tabs open going through all of the different ones that I lost track of whose site was whose. So I apologize for that. But
looks like it was John Slater.
So I got it right? Okay, so I have to share my screen again. Wait, that's disable camera. Chrome tab. Okay. So right off the bat, there are a couple of issues. For one, it's basically just a wall of text. So even though actually some of this content here is actually pretty high quality, some of it is very solid. It's punchy. They use some bodybuilding language, some powerful kind of language, right? Thousands of natural products on the market. It's the best anti-wrinkle creams. They talk about their process, right? We base our supplement reviews on a combination of personal experience and testimonials, etc. I think that's all very good. However, I think that when you have a website that's trying to look like an authority, you can't just have a big wall of text saying that you're an authority and then the different content categories or silos or what have you. I would like to look at this example. Interesting. Will I be able to show both these tabs at the same time? Hang on. Let me stop, and I will start again and share this one. So if you look here, these people are selling supplements, right? And they have, they have the banner, they have the headline, the sub-headline, they have some models, and they have some food here as seen on all of these different outlets, right? And then they have the categories done like this. Then they have a lead magnet here, and then latest articles. So notice there's a lot of visualization. This one looks a lot better. It looks a lot more authoritative, right? So I think when you have a homepage for a website, especially in this niche, it has to look more like this. You have to have the copy like this. You have to have a strong headline. You have to have a sub-headline. And then below that, you can talk about what you do, who you are, how you come to, how you come to your reviews and things like that. So I think that's what you should be going for with this, not the wall of text. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to open the other tab. Okay. So let's take a look at one of the reviews. I actually think this intro is solid because you follow a lot of the rules that I was talking about in the presentation, right? You get right to the point. You tell the reader what they're going to get out of it, okay? The only thing that I think you're missing here is you're missing your process. The reader is not going to trust that you really know what you're talking about unless they either know you already, which they probably don't, or you tell them what went into this review. Okay. So what I would do here is I would tell them, okay, how long have you taken this product? Do you know anybody that's taken this product? Are you a certified personal trainer or a nutritionist? Or have you spent hours and hours searching the web and watching videos and talking to people from the company, etc., about how it works? It's much better if you add more information about what makes you a trustworthy resource. Okay. So here is another mistake. I'm hesitant to call it a mistake. It's more of like a formatting issue. I think when you're selling products, even though this is a review that's meant to educate the reader, trying to sell the product, right? So what you should do is, before getting into the what is HDH X2, I think it's better that you have some sales copy here. So what that means is you could have something like pros and cons. You can have the things that you like about it. You can have who it's for. You can have a star rating, 4 out of 5 stars or whatever. You can have key benefits, like instantly build shredded physique, or build muscle and lose fat 2x faster, things like that. All of those kind of like really hardcore benefits of the supplement up top. That way you give the reader a chance to make a purchasing decision. It's like, oh, that's what I'm looking for. Or, oh, that's exactly what I want. Okay, this is what I want, and click, get the best price. Because a lot of times they're not really interested in what exactly it is. They're interested in why they should buy it, right? So I would definitely do that. So you have some of the benefits, but they're all the way buried at the bottom of the page. You can have these here, but I would definitely put more of them up top and in shorter, punchier form, maybe just one line. That would be better, if you ask me. Okay. Also, I think this review is suffering a little bit from the SEO tone issue that I was talking about in the presentation. I think that the content is solid. There's a lot of benefits here. There's a lot of visualization here, but I think sounding more like a natural person in the fitness industry, I really highly recommend bodybuilding.com. They have great fitness content. If you can get your content to sound more like that, you will be way ahead of the game. So here, I like this. With a quicker recovery, you can bulk twice as quickly and burn fat twice as effectively. That's excellent. Very, very well done. And anybody who's still here listening, visualization, telling the reader exactly in detail how they'll benefit. It's like, if you take this product compared to before, not only will you bulk twice as quickly, you'll burn fat twice as quickly. I think that's a great way to sell products. So if you have something that has double the something of another competitor, double the testosterone, double the fat burning, whatever, make sure the reader knows how they'll benefit. Double this means double the weight loss, double the bulk, double the 6-pack abs, that kind of thing. That type of visualization is excellent. So, and the one other thing that I think you're missing here, and maybe you're not going for that on your website, but personal experience. Telling people what it was like to take this, if you have taken it, or telling people what it's like for others to take this. A lot of readers say, or a lot of reviews say, that this is how they feel, or this was the results, or I took it for 30 days and here's what happened to me. Here's how I felt. I felt a lot stronger in the gym and I didn't feel any kind of side effects, like that kind of stuff. That really gets the reader to trust what you are selling. And yeah, last but not least, I think with the benefits, I think it's better to be punchier and, like you did up above, a little bit more visual. So loss of fat, right? For sculpted muscles to shine through, there needs to be an absence of fat. That's very obvious. I think nobody reading this needs to be told that. Instead, get straight to the point. Loss of fat. HDH X2 has double the fat burning qualities of others, so you will burn fat twice as fast without any side effects. That's much better than saying something like, oh, if you want your muscles to show, you need less fat. Like, I think that's very obvious to the reader. Okay. So, and again, balanced metabolism. Our metabolism is the machine within your body that burns through the calories and fats ingested daily. Again, it's a basic fact, not really valuable here. What is valuable is what's inside of this product and how does that balance your metabolism and how does it do it better than other competitors, right? So HGH X2 has this ingredient and that ingredient, which will help balance your metabolism. It's the only supplement on the market with this formula that gives you the optimal balance in your metabolism, and that will lead to less fat. So I think that's the strategy you should always take with benefits. Don't state obvious facts, just get straight into the value. And then final thoughts. I think this is actually pretty good. Always in your concluding thoughts, you want to make a definitive statement. So I think as long as you're saying this is a very, no hidden gimmicks, safe blend, it's very good. Thousands of men have been using it. I think this is good. Always in your closing thoughts, make a definitive statement that kind of sums up what you've been talking about throughout the review. Okay, so just to reiterate really quickly, add some trust into the intros always when you're selling products. Explain your process. Maybe go to like one of the leading competitors and see how they're talking. Make notes and try to incorporate that type of tone into your articles. Have some sales copy at the top, benefits, pros and cons, things like that. And in your benefits, don't eat basic facts. Instead, talk about the product and how it helps you achieve that benefit. Okay. Boom.
You're on mute there, Lauren, I think.
Yeah, I think you're on mute.
Oh my gosh. So awesome. Thank you so much. This is a great event as always, Kevin.
Yeah, it was fun.
See you. And don't forget to join us next month. We talked to Robbie Richards, who teaches a content audit playbook. Robbie is so smart and really awesome. So thank you, attendees. And don't forget that you can save $9.99 on your monthly IMG membership using the code Kevin Copywriting. So we look forward to seeing you all in the SEO Lounge next month. And thank you.
Nice.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Lauren.
Yep.
Thanks all of
Thanks for having me.
for showing up. Look forward to seeing you all next month.
Yeah, this was fun. Hey, how do I get my IMG t-shirt? I still haven't got it yet.
Oh, you have to talk to Lauren about it.
All right. This is super important. So I'll be in touch.
All right. Thank you all,
right.
and see you next month.